Hello everyone, this is EdRay1416 here with a video regarding capitalism. I know that some of my fans could identify as either socialist or communist. If you people are socialist and communist, stick around and listen to what I have to say. This could be my most controversial educational video to date. Here we go. First off, what is capitalism? Capitalism is an economic system characterized by private or corporate ownership, by investments that are determined by private decision, and by prices, production, and distribution of goods that are determined mainly by competition in a free market. Now let's break down this definition further in layman's terms. In a business, if you make a decision to buy, sell, and trade, you control what you want to sell for a certain price. You control what you want to buy from people for a certain price in an effort to protect from losses in the event the certain good does not sell afterward. If the value of an item is much as the value of what you want to trade for, then there shouldn't be a catch-22 to trading. Take, for instance, a video game that I bought for $20 at my local flea market. If there's another game that is worth $20 that I want to trade for, I'm going to ask for that trade. If I trade the game for another and walk out, that's how a trade should work. Now for selling to vendors, certain vendors will hold 20 to 40% back of what the item is worth so the vendor can make a profit. Say for instance, if you sold a video game to a vendor that is worth $100, they hold 40% back. So if you divided $100 by 40%, you would get $60 for the game that is worth $100. You may think that it's bad, but again, the vendor has to make a profit. Hey, $60 is better than nothing, right? Second, capitalism is determined by competition. What is competition? If you people didn't take economics in high school, I will be more than happy to explain it. Competition is the effort of two or more parties acting independently to secure the business of a third party by offering the most favorable terms. In layman's terms, if two vendors are selling video games, they have to offer different goods, better service quality, and better prices in order for both businesses to thrive. Now most people that compete are in it for themselves rather than their community. Most vendors do not welcome competition fearing that their business would go under. No. The reason why businesses go under is because of poor marketing strategy, not providing customer service excellence, and overpricing stuff. Now pay attention to this next statement. I'm an obvious fan of Bar Rescue. This show is a perfect example of why competition is essential to society. Bars are locally owned, and if you do not use common sense, your business becomes a liability. If you get in debt, it's your fault for poorly marketing your alcoholic beverages, not keeping the kitchen orderly, and not caring about your customers. You folks need to remember that your customers are the lifeblood of the business. In the case of Bar Rescue, John Taffer is harsh to people that are terrible to business people. He is a master of bar science. John Taffer is not just a bar scientist, he's a businessman and a capitalist. Running any business is not just a science, it's also an art. Remember, life imitates art more than art imitates life. If you run a shoe business, you have to develop a marketing formula to sell shoes effectively. If you run a video game business, you have to pay attention to the gaming market. Test the games prior to the sale, and offer a business card if they purchase from you. Yes, business cards are effective advertisements just like a video advertisement that you submit to social media. So if you watch Bar Rescue, you will understand John Taffer and his marketing style for bars. Competition not only makes you money, but it makes the vendors you are competing against more money as well. The more competition there is, the more customers are going to come over. It's the vendors that need to pay attention to their finances and figure out how to sustain their business if they want to see the next day or, in the case of the flea market, next weekend. If vendors do not welcome competition, they'll be able to dictate the prices however they want. Eventually the customers will get fed up because they want better choices. Vendors that welcome competition and actually offer advice to their future competitors realize that it will help their business and help their competitors. Competition creates cash. I realize that I have 4.5 months left. Even so, I've been checking out my future competitors and they've been very helpful to me. They want the competition. Personally, I want to compete with them too. I don't know whether to call my business Bourg's Retro Gaming or Golden Triangle Gaming. Anyway, I'll be competing against the two businesses that I advertised. Crazy Carl's was my first advertisement. The success of that ad saved Crazy Carl's from bankruptcy. Pop's Pokemon Store was my third advertisement and that ad got his sales up. And considering that I've sold newspaper subscriptions in 2011, I can sell games. Here's my logic. If you can sell newspaper subscriptions, you can pretty much sell anything. Now for you socialists and communists watching, you're going to ask about department clothing stores, big oil, and supermarkets. First off, these three entities are not capitalists, they are corporatist. What is corporatism? Corporatism is the organization of a society into industrial and professional serving as organs, political representation, and exercising control over persons and activities within their jurisdictions. In layman's terms, corporations control politics and will stop at nothing to dictate how people should live in society. Corporatism and capitalism are two different entities. Corporatism pays for lobbying in Washington, D.C. Corporatism is what tells the government to make laws. Corporatism is what puts the heads of the mom-and-pop businesses in a vice to pay taxes and skyrocket their prices. Corporatism is ruining America. Capitalism makes the mom-and-pop businesses money. Capitalism is what keeps the families off the street or away from the ghetto. Capitalism is what encourages small towns to flourish with more local businesses. Department clothing stores are going out of business because their prices are way too high and the local thrift stores give people more options. Corporatism costs businesses more than anything else, yet our tax dollars will go toward bailing out these corporations. Meanwhile, the mom-and-pop businesses start struggling even more. Walmart is a huge example of corporatism. America's tax dollars go toward bailing out Walmart every time they lose money. Same logic could apply for Coca-Cola and McDonald's. So for the grassroots businessmen watching, don't expect our tax dollars to bail you out. Be self-reliant and formulate a business strategy. So no, corporatism does not equal capitalism. Hopefully you socialists and communists will be a little more open to the concept of capitalism. Now some people say that I'm not a true capitalist because of how stern I am against price gouging. What is the definition of price gouging? Price gouging is charging customers way too much money. Corporatists are the biggest example of price gouging. For example, department clothing stores charge $50 for a dress shirt, $150 for a pair of pants, $300 for a suit. Why board members of these corporations aren't going to jail for price gouging is something that I cannot understand. Meanwhile, if you sold a shirt at a yard sale for $5, customers would complain about price gouging since many of them would rather buy for $1 or less. Here's another example. In 1994, following the Northridge earthquake in California, people were going to jail for price gouging over a gallon of distilled water for $4. 60 to 90 days in jail for a $4 gallon of water. Does that make any sense, especially in an emergency situation? It proves that the government does not give a damn about grassroots capitalism in an emergency situation. Why aren't people up in arms over a $300 monthly electric bill? Why aren't people up in arms over gas prices well over $2 a gallon? Why didn't people protest when gas prices were over $4 a gallon in 2008? This is price gouging, and this is a perfect example as to why I hate corporate practices. As a grassroots capitalist, I can buy a shirt for $1, a pair of slacks for $1, and a suit for either $10 to $20. That's why thrift stores and flea markets are flourishing, because they understand how frugal customers have become since the year 2008. Even when the economy explodes, people are still going to search for clothes from 25 cents to $20 at most. So don't think that capitalism all around is a bad thing when you must look at the facts about our economy being put in a vice by corporatism and disguising it as capitalism. To truly understand capitalism further than I explained it, I'm going to link two important videos. First, from Mr. Dapperton, called Anarcho-Capitalism Fully Explained. While I don't identify as an anarcho-capitalist, I do see how private security and competition can bring comfort and security back to America. Second, Esoteric Entity's explanation of anarcho-capitalism. And to further understand capitalism, I want you to tune in to True Capitalist Radio on Block Talk Radio. You can follow a Politics Ghost on Twitter in order to find out the time his broadcast is going on the air. Capitalism is not a joke. It's not a way to hurt the American consumer. It's a way to bring communities closer toward autonomy. The less dependent businesses are on government, the closer a community gets to create more mom-and-pop businesses that can be sustainable in the long run. As a grassroots capitalist, I'm hoping that more mom-and-pop businesses get started and succeed. But remember, folks, pay attention to the markets, seek advice, and formulate a marketing strategy. Once again, customers are the lifeblood of the business. Without them, your business is dead at the scene. I hope you socialists and communists get the picture of what capitalism is now. Anyway, Mad Ray, and I'm out of here.